I've got a good one for you today. Yes, I do. We've got the GSI FPEv2. Let me put this down here. Before we start, you see this big, beautiful screen? I'm going to give you a presentation. Yes, I am. Look at this. Before a race starts, you want to get your blood pumping. You want your heart rate, nice up. So when you are in the action, in the heat of the moment, you are relaxed and calm. Because before the race, you elevated your heart rate, whatever. So you might want to add something like this on your screen. Hoo, hoo, hoo. Sha-na-na-na-na. Yes, I know. But this is not everybody's cup of tea. You might be motivated by a more inspirational figure. Maybe one of the all-time biggest and greatest Americans to ever walk the land of America. Yes, Dylan. I mean, wow! Dylan here has done more in a year for us, the beer consumer, than any living man or woman, sir, madame, what have you, has done ever before. Dylan here has single-handedly reduced the cost of beer by 70%. 70! I mean, wow. You tell me one other person who has this feat, this achievement under their belt. I'll wait. I love your work, Dylan. Keep it up. And not just that. Look at this. At a Celine Dion concert, or whatever concert you're at, he's reduced the waiting times for beer to less than 10 seconds. Rock up, pitch up, drink up, and repeat, and you sweet. You can go again. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you. This is unheard of. I love your work. I mean, look here. Look at Dylan having a fabulous time. I hope you can help maybe companies like Guinness and Heineken. Please do. It will be much appreciated. Obviously, for all you gullible people out there, this is a skit. Don't unsubscribe, subscribe. Anyway. Hello, welcome. We've got a GSI product, my first one ever, so I'm excited. These are the topics that we will be discussing today, and feel free to skip to whichever bit you prefer. Let's get started. How much will you be paying to own one of these beautiful GSI wheels? Now, it is no secret, GSI only makes the top notch when it comes to steering wheel, the mamma mia of the Italian. They're not Italian, they're made in Texas. No, I'm not going to do that. Even the entry-level wheel, the X29, is by no means entry-level. It has a price tag that exceeds other companies' flagship wheels. And yeah, this FPEv2 is no exception. You're going to be paying $1,250 for the aluminium version with only the 2 pedals on the back. If you want to opt, like myself, to have these carbon fiber shifters and also to add the dual clutch pedals, this price goes up to $1,487. Yeah, it's a boatload. Anyway, I'll be discussing briefly later whether, it's good, what I think is my opinion on buying such a showpiece, because that's what you are buying. You are buying a showpiece wheel, something that goes, when you take it out of a box. You're buying that special feeling, that thing that makes your dopamine go through the roof. That's what you get when you buy something like this. Is it worth spending that type of money on a wheel, which, I mean, it's not going to make you any faster than using, let's say, a SimMagic GT Neo. But yeah, we'll discuss that a little bit further in my conclusion. See you later. I say it all the time. What I think is sha-na-na-na-na and looks absolutely wonderful, you might not like. Looks are subjective, each to their own. I do think, however, GSI has absolutely nailed the look of this FPEv2, and they give you 6 different color schemes to pick from. I'll show you now. So really, there is something for everyone, and if one of them color schemes are not to your liking, you can pay that little bit more, well, not a little bit more, you can pay more to customize this wheel like all the other wheels you can buy from GSI, to really make it your own. You can change these buttons if you don't like the layout. You can change the colors of the encoders, the buttons. You know, the world is your oyster if you want to pay that little bit extra. Of course, you come out of a box. I've got this Miami light scheme going over here. However, there's like 5 or 6 different ones that you can pick from just as soon as you've got it set up on SimLabs. And then I'll show you a few of them here now. Of course, you are able to change any of these buttons to whatever colors you want with the LEDs in the back. Each button has 2 LEDs in it, so you can make these little fade effects like you see over here. I do think when it comes to looks, I think they've nailed it. Even the back, I mean, I've got the carbon fibers on here. I do think it looks very nice. Yeah, just the whole wheel, I think, presents very well, and I think great job. I briefly want to discuss build quality when it comes to this GSI FPEv2. Now, as you can expect, the build quality is phenomenal, and so it should be when you're paying this type of money for a steering wheel. Now, everything you touch, from the minute you lift this thing out of the box, you know you are touching something special. This is not a toy, and it will never ever be considered a toy. Even someone who has never sim raced, or even I would say even an F1 driver would be really impressed by the quality of this wheel.
Steering wheel, somebody tell him to give it to me. Come on! Whoa!
That's how far I would go. The only 2 little things that I want to point out and make a note of is, if you see these encoders over here of mine, this one over here is kind of pointing at 11 o'clock. Where all the others are facing upwards. Now, if I were to use the round knobs, I don't think you would ever have noticed that. However, because these are like directional knobs, you can see the arrow pointing upwards. I can tell when I'm got this mounted on my rig and I'm facing this dead on, I can definitely see that this one is just that slight bit off compared to the other knobs. Now, you know, things like this, you can forgive them, because in the end of the day, each of these wheels are made by hand in Texas, and yeah, so there are going to be little quirks like this. I don't think each wheel will be exactly identical. Another thing, when I push down on the screen, I will try and give you a close-up over here. It is very squishy to me, and I can see when I'm looking down at this angle, as I'm pushing down on the screen, there's a little gap that appears in between the frame of this of the housing and the screen. Now, it's not affected the usability of this wheel whatsoever. However, you know, I don't know if I personally would have wanted my screen maybe a bit firmer. If I push on it, I don't want that squishiness. But other than that, build quality, perfect, as you can expect. Let's talk about buttons and inputs. Now, before I start, I want to show you these buttons up close. These here aren't stickers. These are printed on. The same way, exactly the same buttons as on the X29. Now, this comes with some benefits and some drawbacks, of course. The benefits are that these buttons are going to look nice even 2 years down the line. There's not going to be stickers that are moving about, and I can tell this is a type of, it's not going to wear out. You can push this button a lot of times. It's going to look perfect in a couple of years down the line, which is nice. That's the main benefit of using these printed buttons. However, I myself like my wheel differently laid out. I personally would probably not have had my pit limiter over there. I probably would have had it over there. Now I can't change it. The wheel, the way you see it here, is kind of the way the wheel is. If I wanted to change the layout, I would have had to pay extra. I think it's $175 extra to, you know, pick the buttons and lay them out where I want. So if this is something that is important to you, you maybe have multiple wheels and you maybe want your DRS button for every wheel at the top right, then maybe pay that little bit extra and just lay your wheel out the way you want it. So because after this wheel gets delivered, there's no changing the buttons, so keep that in mind. And the wheel comes with 10 of these RGB backlit buttons. Every button has 2 RGBs from what I can see, and yeah, they perform very, very well. You can see as I push on them, they give a little effect. All these things you can set up in SimLabs as you want, and yeah, they feel very nice. All of them feel identical, and you have to press it quite nice and hard, and there's a very satisfying click to it. I'll let you hear. So yeah, the buttons I think are top notch. As well, you get these encoders. The encoders are nice and stiff. Now, the buttons, just to give you a point of reference, if you maybe have the X29, they feel identical. However, these encoders feel nice and stiff. Stiffer than what would be on these over here. And they actually feel very, very nice. I really like the encoders. I think they are absolutely perfect when you're talking about resistance and feel when you are using them. They click into place in, you know, just exactly the way you would expect them to operate. As well as each of these are actually a button. So this gives you 5 additional inputs. You know, listen to this. And very, very handy. I myself, now that iRacing has rain, you know, I put my wipers here on the top. The one, I think, to toggle the wipers and to switch them on and off. So it is very handy to have them extra inputs. And you don't have 100 extra buttons here on the actual wheel. These over here are not buttons. These are just little lights that give you a little bit of information. If you were to change, you can see their direction, it changes colors. And that's the same with these thumb rotary encoders. You get 2 of them. One of the big reasons I did not buy the FPEv2 was because I love thumb encoders. That's the way I change my brake bias, and it's a preferred way for me to change it. So for me, each to their own, of course, but for myself, if a wheel doesn't have thumb encoders, I probably won't buy it for myself. I did not buy that myself. That's to come later. Anyway, this here, you can see nice little responses from the LEDs. When you're going down, it gives this a little down effect, and when you're going up, it gives this up effect. This here, I would say, out of all the wheels I've used in my life, this is probably for myself the absolute perfect resistance. I mean, it's not too stiff. It's hard to describe without you actually using the wheel. But yeah, you're not going to change your brake bias here by accident just by you know, stroking over this. It's actually a very nice resistance. And yeah, all the buttons feel premium. As you can imagine, the funky switches, they, like all GSI funky switches, they feel fantastic. Whenever you're using these as encoders, you can make very small detailed adjustments, and you can do so confidently, just a couple of clicks. You know, if you want to go 3 clicks, 3 clicks. If you want to go 2 clicks. It's very, very easy to use these funky switches, and they've got a very nice satisfying click to them whenever you're going directional, up and down. So yeah, very nice. And of course they got a push, you can push down on them as well. So yeah, the buttons, I've got no complaints whatsoever. I think they're fantastic. When it comes to the actual layout of the wheel, let's talk about that a little bit. As you can see there, I've got big hands, and I've got like sausage thumbs. I mean, I would say my thumbs are definitely bigger than the average person, let me say, and there's definitely enough space here. I love the contours of the grip. It feels much, much better than what I would say with the X29, where the space is more limited over here. I feel the grip here feels fantastic, and yeah, I can get to all these buttons over here, the funky switches and my thumb encoders, without lifting my hand off the wheel whatsoever. Even these buttons over here I can do with a bit of a stretch. Only these here starts, the bottom 2 starts to become uncomfortable, and I would say you probably want to make a adjustment, like, you know, with your grip when you are using it. But yeah, buttons, perfect. Onto the back of the wheel. Now, I paid a little bit extra to have these extra clutch pedals, and I also opted for carbon fiber. I wear gloves all the time, so to be honest with you, paying extra for the carbon fiber is probably not necessary. The thing I can say, when using aluminium shifters, just when you're not using gloves, you know, when you initially use them, they are a little bit cold to touch. And I think the actual feel, you know, touching carbon fiber probably feels that a little bit better. Other than that, it's just cosmetic. I don't think one is stronger than the other when you're using it. It doesn't matter where I'm pushing down on this shifter, there's practically no flex, and yeah, the shifts feel amazing. I would say 98% of people using this wheel will be very happy with the shifts, and as you can see, it's quite a short shift. The travel of the pedal is not very far, which is nice. It kind of, you know, you can if you can imagine using a formula car, just downshifting very quick, you'll be able to do it super quick and super accurate. If you do want perhaps a stiffer feeling, you can take these, just take a screw, and you can take these magnets out. So if I just pull the magnet, and there we go. As you can see, that's the magnet out, and then you get the one out from the back as well. And now, yeah, if you want, you just go buy yourself stronger magnets. You're obviously going to have to make sure that they're the exact same dimensions, but they just fit in very easy. As you can see, you just put one in there, and then you're going to have to put this one in the opposite way. Oh, they are strong, these magnets. So anyway, and there you go, as easy as that. Now the shifter is back working. So yeah, on the back, the clutch pedals here, 2 of them, of course, dual clutches. You set the bite point in the what do they call it, a SimOS or SimOS, I don't know how you pronounce it, software. And yeah, you can adjust the bite point in there. They feel very, very nice, a very smooth and very linear feeling. I have no issues whatsoever. One thing I do want to point out with this wheel, and I think it's the case with most GSI wheels, you cannot make adjustments when it comes to this, to the actual distance of these pedal shifters. You know, I can't extend these or move them in if you have smaller hands. However, honestly, I don't think it'll be an issue for anybody. I think even if you have little hands, you'll be able to reach these big pedals on the back with no issues whatsoever. So yeah, I do think it's a good looking wheel. You've got a little bit of branding there at the back. I've got this quick release. You can, whatever quick release you want on, just your standard 670mm bolt pattern. You get this nice sturdy coiled cable. The only thing you get in the box is you get a sticker, this coiled cable, and the steering wheel. Yeah, the cable here, as you can see by the connection, is a screw in. You screw this in, and it's a very, very solid connection. Probably would have liked, to be honest with you, to have it similar to what the SimMagic one would be now, and what the Cube Control wheels are, just the magnetic one. I think that connection is maybe a little bit nicer than this. But as for the cable, I mean, you can see it stretches, and you're not going to have any issues with disconnects whatsoever. Yeah, fantastic. I've been using this wheel now for the past 2 months, and it will come as no surprise. This is very, very quickly became my favorite wheel, and honestly, it is an amazing piece of equipment. A 300mm diameter, I think, is perfect. I don't need to swap steering wheels when I'm changing classes in cars. This would suit whether you're driving prototypes, open wheelers, or GT cars. It suits all of them, and it suits them well. It feels comfortable using it with any of those cars. I want to point out, I used to own the Cube Controls CSX3, and that's an amazing wheel. I love that wheel, but I found myself not using it that often, especially when I was using GT style cars, because of a smaller diameter. That wheel, after all, is made specifically for open wheel cars, whereas the GTX, I think they call it, they've got the GTX2 now, is more for your GT style cars. Whereas this here, I think, is a perfect middle ground. So if you are considering maybe buying just one amazing showpiece wheel that you can have on your mantelpiece, but it does a wide variety of cars, this is definitely it, which is wunderbar. I've used this wheel at absolute max Newton meters, 25 Newton meters, undampened.
I'm itching at how much I'm shaking here.
And I mean, there was not a single creak in this wheel. It is absolutely rock solid, and so it should be, with this 5mm thick carbon fiber front plate. The wheel weighs 1.5 kilos, so it's no slouch there. If you opted for the two pedal version, it'd be 1.4 kilos. So in my opinion, I would say you would need at least 10 Newton meter wheelbase to have a wheel like this, to use it and, you know, gain all the information from your direct drive wheel. However, if you're buying something like this, I'm sure you already have a wheelbase that would be at least 15 Newton meters, but it's just something to keep in mind. yeah, the whole thing, like I said, is rock solid. I had enough buttons on the wheel. There's 57 mappable inputs on this wheel, which is, it's a lot. Remember, all these here, these 5 encoders here double as buttons. So yeah, I really was not short of any buttons. I myself found Hyper P1 a little bit too busy and maybe a bit too much buttons on there for my liking. And that's why I opted for the FPEv2. And I'm glad I did. Okay, we are in iRacing and it's raining. I just want to show you a few things over here on the steering wheel and just talk about the screen a little bit. Let's talk about the screen first. You get a 4-inch screen. It's a high resolution screen with 30 frames per second, which is plenty. You don't need any more for a SimRacing steering wheel. All the details, and it's a very nice, clear and crisp screen. This here would be the screen that you get with your steering wheel. It's kind of the GSI layout for this, and I really like it. I do. When you change your brake bias, all the information pops up here nice and big. Same with your ABS and then your traction control. You can see it just pops up on the screen. I really like a screen. You've got your gears, then the middle, speed on top. You've got your revs at the bottom. All the information you need. And this little one extra, that is the time. At the moment it's 16 minutes past 1 in the morning over here. And that little watch here, as soon as I finish a race, that's the first thing I look at. I'm like, I see that, and then I know whether I've got time to do an extra lap or two, or whether I should exit the session to join my next race. How many times have you try to do a lap, or you just forget yourself, and as soon as you get out into the iRacing lobby and you want to join a race, you realize, I've missed it by 10 or 15 seconds. I mean, now you don't have an excuse. Sometimes I love running this guy's profile. GSI actually recommends you to go download this fella's profile, and I'll put a link to his Discord in the description. Whatever car you are driving, it pretty much replicates the dashboard, which is very nice. But over here, as you can see, I've got no live clock, so a lot of times as soon as a race finish, I just flick over to the screen and I can tell, it's 17 minutes past 1. I've got 13 minutes before the next whatever race starts. So that is very handy. Other than that, I just want to talk about the overall feel. The grips, they feel amazing. The contours they've made here, I think it's perfect for the hands. It fits so nicely. Whether you're turning or whatever you're doing, the whole thing feels nice. They say they've used something anti-dust, silicone or whatnot for the grips, and I can tell, because there's nothing, after 2 months, there's nothing that sticks, no hair or anything sticks to the grips. They look nice. I have used this wheel without gloves, and I find my hands do get a bit clammy, so I use their gloves, the GSI gloves. Yeah, the gloves are nice, but I wouldn't say it's value for money. Let me put it this way. But steering wheel is value for money. That's what I keep telling myself. The layout is just very nice. Whether I want to change my brake bias over here, pit limiter on over here. Remember, as I said, these double as buttons, so I've got my wipers there going. And these here, I can do with a small adjustment to my hand. As you can see, I don't need to take my whole hand off to just push this button, which is very nice. Also, I've got kind of like sausage fingers. Well, not sausage, I would say, but I've got big hands. And I can quite comfortably, these dials here, without, even with gloves on, I can change all my information here without worrying. None of these knobs are too close to one another to actually cause any problems there. So yeah, I think they've laid out this wheel absolutely perfectly. The rev lights, nice and bright, as you can imagine. Let me get, why do I not have any? Let's put it in neutral. There we go. As you can see, starts off and in the yellow, and then obviously it goes to the red. And yeah, see them clear as day. You've got your 3 flag lights over here, and they work as well. I do, be honest with you, I don't really notice these flag lights, just because I've got my wheel set up. If there's a yellow flag, my whole wheel goes yellow. I like that. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, that their steering wheel lights up like a Christmas tree whenever something happens, out on track. But I do. I like it. I would put a glow kit in my lawnmower if I was to cut the grass at night, that is. Anyway, I've got my spotters, you know, these lights here would light up whenever a car's on my left or car on my right. If I have a blue flag, these knobs here would light up blue. Yeah, just the whole shebang. I think they've made the steering wheel absolutely. My final thoughts. What do I think about this GSI FPEv2? Listen here. I think it's an absolute spectacular wheel. It is wunderbar, amazing, fantastico. I have zero regrets buying this whatsoever. Do you need to have a mental impediment to spend this type of money on which is essentially a game controller? Yes. Yes, you need to be special. But do you know what? That's what this type of wheel gives you. You get that special feeling from the moment you place your order online to talking to the other people on Discord and being excited for the day this gets to your front door, to opening the box and literally lifting it out the first time. That moment in itself is a special moment. You are paying for the top-notch quality. Everything you touch here, the screen, absolutely everything is just, you know, and that's the way it should be. I don't think it's necessary to own 3 or 4 of these type of wheels, you know. However, if you are fortunate enough and you can stretch your budget to own one of these high caliber wheels, I definitely think that the GSI FPEv2 should be in the top 3 of your ones to consider. I think they've made an absolute banger. Yeah, of a wheel. I just had an absolute blast and it's going to have hours and hours of fun using it. Does a wheel like this make you any faster than buying a GT Neo, or ASETEK, or even the X29 entry level, or whatever wheel you are using? No, this will not make you faster. So, do I think it's necessary to own a series of these wheels? No. If you are lucky enough and you can do so, then, you know, well done, sir. You've made it in life. But I am very, very happy and fortunate to have one of these wheels. And you know what? I'm not going to let go of it. I think it is amazing. If you have made it to this stage of the video, I thank you very, very much for watching. It is much appreciated. Don't be shy, guy. Consider subscribing, please. But above all, please give us this video a like. It helps YouTube to share this video with other like-minded people, other people with mental impediments that think it's okay to spend thousands and thousands on imaginary cars. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you again in a week or 2. And yeah, as always, I hope your next race, your next race is a winner. Hallelujah.